Holy shit, 8k views? 200 subscribers? That's a lot of support for a guy's third YouTube video, holy shit. A guy like that's gotta continue uploading, right? You know, he's not gonna just make one video and then dip for 8 months and never explain why, right? And like, even if you were to quit anyway, you'd have to have a big enough reason to do so, right? Maybe an important family matter, a job, a girlfriend, anything aside from just being a lazy fat piece of shit that just sits in his bedroom all fucking day, right? Yeah, so I was gone for quite a while, and what did I do in that time? Well, from the standpoint of being a normal functioning member of society, fuck all, to be perfectly honest, but, you know, I played a couple video games. I beat Halo 3 on the last, so that's gotta count for something, right? You know, maybe now I should get one of those, job things everyone keeps telling me about. But ever since my original video, I've been gone for 8 months, so surely parts of it have gotta be outdated now. Surely gaming isn't nearly as bad, right? No, it still fucking sucks. In fact, it sucks even more than when I made the first video, and there's quite a lot I didn't even talk about in that first video that I want to bring up today, so get your popcorn, take a seat, and listen to some Irish fuckwad ramble for 20 minutes about why modern gaming still depresses me.
See how I've done there?
Let's begin this video by talking about the overabundance of remakes and remasters at the minute. It's almost like developers are scared to try new ideas, so they're just gonna remake and remaster their old titles instead of just making backwards compatibility into a thing on most consoles. The perfect example of this that comes to my mind is The Last of Us Part 1, which is just completely pointless and seemed like a total waste of time. Now, I recently played the original Last of Us this year, and yeah, it is as good as people say it is, but it also looks pretty fucking good, and it doesn't need a remake. And the thing is that this remake doesn't look lazy. It looks like they did put effort into the remake, but like, why? It's a 2013 game. It's not like it's almost a Oh shit, what the fuck? But ultimately, the game was remastered for the PS4, runs at 60 frames per second, and supports 4K. So, what is the point of remastering it again? Like, it looks better, but like, fucking barely. Why did Naughty Dog choose to remaster The Last of Us instead of Jak and Daxter or maybe Uncharted 1 because it hasn't aged that well? And this is the case for many game developers. Why the fuck did you guys remake Modern Warfare 2 when World at War looks a lot worse and could be remastered, and you didn't even include the multiplayer, which is the main part people like about the original, so what's the point? Why the fuck did they make this buggy ass remaster of Sonic Colors when Unleashed hasn't been ported since the Xbox 360 and chugs on that console? And somehow the best video game series ever is the worst offender for this because fucking GTA has had not one but 2 terrible remasters in the last year. Expanded and enhanced end quote is just the same shit that you've played since 2013 with no upgrades aside from minor ray tracing. And the Trilogy Definitive Edition is... well, I don't even need to fucking say anything, just look at this shit. All I need to say is that I was 100%ing San Andreas, which I'm done now by the way, very recently, and I was following a guide which was based around the remasters on how to find all the collectibles, and I literally couldn't tell where a location was because it was that different from the original game. My point is that developers just need to stop fucking remastering their games. I know it's obviously an easy way to make money, but like, it's just lazy. You might as well just make backwards compatibility a thing on more consoles. PlayStation. But usually what ends up happening is that they'll delist and disrespect their previous games just to force you to buy the new one. When the servers went down for the old Halo titles, all of them were delisted from the Xbox store, so you can't even fucking buy them anymore if you wanted to play the campaigns. Your only option is MCC, which includes a bunch of pointless cosmetic bullshit that just ruins the art direction of the previous games. Sonic Origins, which is yet another pointless remaster of a bunch of old games, also led to the delisting of a bunch of old Sonic titles, so now you can't play them unless you buy Sonic Origins. The Metal Gear Solid HD collection was removed off of storefronts for outdated footage or some shit, and I can guarantee that it'll never come back. I mean, it's fucking Konami, so obviously it's not coming back. Have you noticed how fucking terrible user interfaces have been lately? Now maybe it's just me, but whenever I booted up Modern Warfare 2 for the first time, I was like genuinely confused as to why the menu looked more like a website for an online pyramid scheme than a functioning video game menu. And this is the case for most games these days, and the simple reason why is just that they're not finished. I mean, can you really look at Halo Infinite's UI and tell me that this doesn't look like a fucking alpha more than the finished game? How can you seriously look at this next to Halo 3 and Reach's menu and tell me, yeah, that looks alright, that looks finished? But you know what's always fucking finished? Every single fucking time that you put one of these games up? The online store where you can buy the stupid ass microtransactions. Because God forbid, if I can't buy my Neon Reactive bundle in Modern Warfare 2, how am I going to enjoy the game? How are people gonna know that I get no females if I don't have this anime skin in Vanguard? And it all comes down to greed at the end of the day, as it usually does. Speaking of greed, just the other day, you know what Microsoft revealed? Oh, we're making our game $70. Which is yet another blatant lie to your face, because you guys said that you wouldn't do this. Yet again, why are games $70 fucking dollars? They're not even finished, and yet you have the audacity to charge more for them. I hear the argument a lot that, oh, well, the games cost more to make nowadays, but that's not true. You gotta consider inflation, and you also gotta consider the fact that the gaming industry is like 3 times bigger than it would have been in 2007. How the fuck can Activision genuinely give the excuse that Modern Warfare 2 needs to be $70 because it costs more to develop when the game got fucking $1 billion in the first 10 days in revenue? So, games are either $70 or they're free to play and super unfinished, and there's no in between. Why can't I just buy a game that's $60 that's finished and has full functioning content and just enjoy it? You know, it's a fucking entertainment product. I meant to be, you know, entertained while playing it. Not like I'm doing a fucking 9 to 5 job grinding like camos because I've nothing better to do with my life. Because believe me, I do. Like, I could go outside or I could... I think I need to explain something to a lot of people, and it's skill-based matchmaking. Now, a lot of people don't seem to understand why skill-based matchmaking is an issue, or why it's even a thing in general. And the sad truth is that it's never going away, and here's why. Try put yourself in the shoes of some, like, grown-ass man called fucking, I don't know, Jerry or some shit, I can't think of a better name. And please pay attention to my beautiful drawings here as I try to explain why skill-based matchmaking is a thing. So our friend Jerry comes home from work, and he wants to play a little game with his friends. So he puts up the newest Modern Warfare game, and he sits down. Realistically, Jerry has, you know, fucking priorities in his life, so he's not going to be playing the game for 10 hours a day. Realistically, probably about 2 hours a day at utter maximum. Now, what is poor little Jerry gonna do if he loads into the game and gets fucking skull-fucked by a bunch of 7-year-olds with diamond camo snipers? He's not gonna continue playing, is he? And if he's not playing the game, then he's less likely to buy shit in the store, isn't he? And this is where skill-based matchmaking comes in. So when Jerry loads into a game, he's being paired with people who are as good as him, so every match is basically the same sort of thing and it's pretty much equal. And he never has to worry about getting his fucking ass handed to him by a bunch of try-hard 4-year-olds. But if I play the game, I still have the same skill-based matchmaking system. Now, I don't mean to brag, but I am pretty okay at Call of Duty. I'm not that good, but I'm alright. But I'm playing for multiple hours at a time because I'm just a teenager with no priorities. So I'm just gonna constantly get into games with people as good as me, and every single match I gotta fucking sweat my ass off. But I'm not the target audience, am I? Realistically, the target audience is the casual, because that's who buys these games, casual players. And if the casual players are having fun, then they're more likely to purchase shit in the game, which leads to more money, because that's all it's about. It's a system that's designed to get the most amount of money out of the players possible. And that's pretty fucking sad, is it not? Just knowing that these games are being made for nothing but profit. You know, it's kind of hard to play the newest Call of Duty game when I know that it's just about the profit and, yes, military propaganda, but that's a topic for another day. What is a topic for today, though, is fucking live service. Now, live service seems like a good idea in concept. Your favorite game getting more content over time? That's fucking awesome, yeah. It's not really like that, though. Halo fucking Infinite. What the fuck happened here? You had so much fucking potential, and you squandered all of it. You released the game half finished, and a year after release it still isn't finished. And believe it or not, people don't want to fucking play unfinished games, because now no one is talking about you, and no one cares about Halo. And Halo's fucking dead because you thought you could release a game and just get away with the fact that it wasn't finished for a quick bit of money. Oh, don't they care about their fucking fans? The fans that were waiting fucking 6 years for this game and stopped playing within the first 4 months. The fucking fans that well, I'm getting a fucking drink, man. I want to talk about Elden Ring, which might seem a bit odd, actually. But believe it or not, there's 2 things that Elden Ring does that I think are super negative, and yeah, Elden Ring is a good video game, but there's stuff that people are not noticing, and it's not the game's fault at all, by the way. I'm not saying it's the game's fault, but it's consequences of its existence. First off is the fact that I think every game now is just gonna try copy Elden Ring and be a giant-ass open world, and I don't think this works for most games. We saw this happen when Breath of the Wild came out. Fucking everything went open world, basically. Every single game series was like, hey, you know, Breath of the Wild is a popular-ass game. Why don't we do that open world thing? And so we got Halo Infinite, Sonic Frontiers, and a bunch of others that I can't remember at all because they're just that fucking forgettable. And people think that why Zelda was good was because Link was in a big fucking grass field with no personality, but that's not what it was at all. Breath of the Wild has a lot more to it than just the grass field, but yeah, every single one of these games is just drop the main character in an Unreal Engine template map and have him run around and do collectibles. And now I think the same thing's gonna happen with Elden Ring, because Elden Ring was fucking massive, and now everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, we want to do that too. So let's just have our characters be in a big fucking open empty world with nothing to do in it. Even though 80% of these games work way better as a linear, shorter game. Like, how do I know that Bioshock 4 isn't just gonna be another open world game like everything else? How do I know that GTA 6 isn't gonna sacrifice its storytelling just to have a big ass open world with a bunch of collectible shit that no one cares about? Stop sacrificing what your franchise is known for just to cash in on others. We've seen this done before, like Call of Duty in every fucking game ever trying to be like Call of Duty, like Turok or some shit, but it's even worse nowadays. And unfortunately, thanks to Elden Ring, I think it's only going to get worse. And as I've said, it's not Elden Ring's fault, far from it, it's a good game. But Call of Duty 4 was a great game and everyone copied it. It's more just an indirect consequence of its own success. And when everything is the same, there's no fun to be had. And when everything is the same, there's no variety. Variety is something that's very important in video games. You can't just play the same genre over and over and over again. I love first-person shooters, but I also love platformers. And I also love a bit of third-person shooters, racing games, open-world games, everything of the sort. So you can't just have first-person shooters over and over and over again. And everyone has their own tastes. And usually when I say, oh, I don't like modern video games, everyone just says to me, oh, but play Elden Ring, play Elden Ring. Elden Ring's good. I don't care for Souls games at all. I really don't play them. They're not my type of game. I'm not saying that they're bad, but I can't get into these types of games. I'm not a big fan of RPGs in general, and I prefer shorter, more linear games like Max Payne or some shit. So just telling me to play Elden Ring isn't really going to help a lot. But at the same time, aside from God of War Ragnarok, there's really nothing else to play. Maybe a Plague Tale Requiem, but I don't really know much about that game. And when there's nothing else to play, what the fuck do you want me to play? Call of Duty, Halo Infinite, Battlefield, Fortnite, Cyberpunk? Fuck it, I'm playing Sonic R. People gotta understand that everyone has their own taste in video games. And unfortunately, not all tastes are being catered to at the minute. What platforming games are coming on at the minute? I can't name many. It's a pretty dead genre at the moment, which is a shame because in 2017 it took off and everyone was doing platformers. And when there is no variety, that means that there's no competition, which means that the bigger companies can just get away with doing whatever the fuck they want. GTA no longer has Saints Row as competition because that new game was you know.
What the hell is wrong with you?
GTA can do whatever the fuck they want. Because there's no other GTA-like game out there, is there? So if GTA 6 is shit for any reason, what else are you gonna play? You want evidence that I'm not wrong? Here you fucking go. Now, I think it's time we get into the biggest issue of all, and it's pretty obvious to me that video games are no longer passion projects by the developers. Now, for the life of me, I can't find it, but there was a post that I read on Twitter that pretty much accurately described how I feel, and it's that Modern Warfare 2 feels like a video game that was generated by an AI to make the most amount of profit imaginable, rather than an actual video game made by human beings, and yeah, I totally agree with that. Most video games nowadays just feel like they're checking a quota of what people expect, rather than trying to tell their own story or show off their own interesting gameplay ideas. A game like Dead Rising could never come out today because it's just not appealing enough to today's market, and because of that we'll just never get games that are nearly as innovative or present such unique ideas as it again. Most people will say they looked at indie studios for games like this, but back in the day, you wouldn't really have indie studios, so AAA developers like Capcom and shit were making games like this, and it was just the norm. They threw a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what would stick, and if it did stick, they continue to make it, and if it didn't, they try something brand new. Portal is a Half-Life 2 mod where you shoot portals at walls and jump through them, and yet it's probably one of the most iconic video games of all time, just because of how unique it is. BioShock has so many unique ideas, and it manages to be the stupidest thing ever in concept, yet profound and deep in its storytelling despite all of that. And games like that just don't exist nowadays. When you think of modern video games, you just think of military shooter or open world game with boring fucking collectibles. Nothing's trying anymore to be unique, and that's a shame. We have the most amount of technology we've had in years, yet no one's really adapting to that. The PlayStation 5's controller and its hardware has so much untapped potential, and yet the only game that I've ever seen tap into that is fucking Astro's Playroom, which is a game designed around the PlayStation 5. And in the past, when a game was a terrible idea to begin with and released awful as well, at least it was funny. Look at Sonic 06, at least that's a funny game. You can play it and you can laugh it off at how terrible it is. But I don't see many people playing Battlefield 2042 for the laughs. It's just shit and disappointing. My biggest problem with video games nowadays is just the lack of creativity and the lack of risk-taking. Even something like GTA 4, which is a massive video game, was very artistic to an extent and tried a lot with its storytelling in a game series that's about crazy open world action with no consequence. And just 2 years before that, the same company dropped a game where you play as a literal child in a school, and it's somehow more engaging than most video games released today. Remember back in the heyday of Halo when Bungie would just be dropping videos on what they were working on and just talk to their fans about every single little detail? That just doesn't happen in today's day and age. And it's because developers just don't care anymore, and to be honest, why should they? These poor guys are probably getting worked to death by their bosses half of the time to even care about the product that they're making. I can't blame developers for not caring about their games when they've been making them against their will for like the last decade and a half. And I can't blame them for not trying anything new, because to be honest, if it sells, why would you stop making it? And that's just the sad truth. Gaming has unfortunately reached a point now where it feels like we've apexed. I know for a fact that I think 2004 to 2009 was the peak of gaming, and I don't think we'll ever reach that height again. Even though gaming is probably at its most popular in this day and age, it's never going to be as memorable or enjoyable. There's a reason why people still play the GTA 5 campaign, even though it's almost a decade old, and it's because it was at an era where games were just trying their hardest, man. And it's so rare to find a game nowadays that feels like the developers really just wanted to tell a story or show off the world that they've envisioned, rather than, oh, we need money, so let's just drop the 87th Call of Duty title. It's been like 5 years since the last proper 3D Mario game, and in that time we've just had a bunch of shit shovelware spin-off games that people will continue to buy. That new Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet, looks absolutely terrible, yet it's somehow the biggest selling Nintendo game of all time at launch. game devs can't make what they want to make, because if they do, it won't sell. But because of that, they're not passionate in what they're making. Will it ever get better? I doubt it. We're at an age now where entertainment just feels like it's fucking AI generated to make the most amount of income, as I said earlier. I mean, you go to the movies and you watch the newest Marvel film and it's just like every other movie you've ever seen rolled into one. It's not artistic and it doesn't have a vision, it's just designed to make profit. And it's really sad when you just know that you're a consumer, and yeah, I know that's what you'll always be when you're consuming a product, but at least back in the old days, you just felt like you were purchasing something that had thought and care put into it, and now it's just, haha, sucker, get roped into buying the newest Call of Duty game, thanks for your money, enjoy that camo grind while I sit on my fucking diamond yacht. And, well, at the end of the day, why do I bother making videos like this? Because I'm severely fucking autistic and I need help, but also because I just feel like if I can make some sort of difference and I can tell people that they're not the only ones that feel like this, and maybe other people will start to feel like it and we can actually make some sort of change. And I'm not a fucking moron, and I know that some random ass Irish dude isn't gonna change multi-billion-dollar companies' opinions. But what else am I gonna do on a Wednesday afternoon? Try to get laid or something? If there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's that, number one, gaming is dying and you're not just getting older. Number two is don't feel like you have to buy a game that you don't want to play just because everyone else is playing it. I've made that mistake plenty of times and ultimately it's just a waste of time and money. And number three, why don't you guys go back and play some old games? Like, there's plenty of games you've never touched before, so why don't you actually buy yourselves an Xbox 360 or PS3 and play some games you've never played before instead of the newest $60 fuckfest that's very likely unfinished, by the way. All I gotta say is that, yeah, my expectations for video games are still super low, nothing's changed, Metal Gear Rising memes aren't funny anymore, and I guess subscribe to the channel if you want new content every 8 months. Hope you guys have a nice night, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you didn't, then